Welcome to a late IHP show, or depending where you're at, a daytime IHP show for the lovely, emotion mature, intelligent, resilient self masters. Be yourself. When I first started IHP, the blog, then the podcast, and just thinking about the inner growth mindset and supporting people to be their self, I didn't realize what it took for anyone to be their actual self. But that's because I didn't lose myself. So when your 3-year-old stays whole, it's a differentiated self world, and it always revolves around, all of your experiences, and above all, the emotional stuff. So sensations rule, well, not really, but we all interpret. But neuroception is different. There's some of us who have a funny bone because we have emotional resilience work, because we have emotional intelligence skills, because we have emotional maturity, because we do know how to grow intelligent, as we use two sides of the brain, but we effectively use, first of all, our heart. So open-heartedness, you are going to be a self-master when you are vulnerable. And so unlike those who are emotionally immature, they are unimpressive, they are limited, they are masked, and they enjoy that which is the unreliable on-off switch of their emotional 0-8-year-old. And that's really unimpressive. But again, leaving that to the therapist community, who are doing their best to take care of those who are going to heal. Because it's fun to be able to be a grown-up, functioning child adult. So we're not only our wise adults, but we're also our entire childhood. And that's why we rule with our consciousness. And what this means is that you are aware, self-aware. We looked over emotional resilience of all that comes up. So you don't say, I want it to be well, it's about what is right. Not what feels right. It's everyone has feels. Between neuroception and people who don't know they're doing bad resilience, to also, what was it? Effective realism, like my teenage boyfriend who didn't realize he was doing it. So those who were not broken free from the illusion of basically wielding their 0-8-year-old around town and continuing to blame a monster for that which is bad behavior, when instead every single bit of bad, ignorant behavior, well, thank you, what's his name? Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. He is not a musician. He is a writer, a philosopher, like some big name way back when. But beneath, when I was looking him up, was Beethoven and all that other Mozart. And so I thought, he's a musician. But I did say, Maria, I'm thinking that's not the case, because his sentences are really amazing. They're talking about the human potential, like all of those of us who know our faith in humanity was not broken. God made us all perfect. The bad children are the bad grown-ups. They're not bad children. Children need to look up, and they will model that which they get taught. So when somebody gets modeled contempt, which means grandiosity and self-righteousness, yes, there's different ways. Besides shame, defectiveness, there's actually modeling, like copying the human being who raised you, and that's not funny. So when they flip a narrative, or when, what is it called? They basically make it seem like what you're doing is abnormal. I just say, wow, I already knew what hypocrites were when I was a teenager. That's why I yelled at my facade friend in his face. By the 3rd year, we were friends again, because he lied to me again by not telling me how he thinks, but playing nice. And so here's what happens when people are afraid of rejection, like my facade friend. They will hold things back and not say something. And it's like, okay, dude, come on. So my friend didn't tell me he didn't believe in God, while my teenage boyfriend said, you believe in God, Maria, only because you're afraid of death. No, okay, I know how my brain works. I know what's going on in here. Okay, so self-masters, we like to exchange. Emotionally masters, we like to exchange, and that's why my facade friend and I are still friends. Teenage boyfriend and I are friends through his companion forever life, because that's how it works. She's the ruler of the two, and I'm okay with that. In the meantime, none of my friends actually supported us to stay friends, which I found odd, because I'm like, I didn't say I love you for no reason at all. Building relationships is actually something that those who are self-mastered and self-conscious do so with awareness and open-heartedness. So just because we don't call ourselves boyfriend, girlfriend anymore, which by the way is for teenagers, I found out this thing about the partner word. I'm like, look, academics use it interchangeably for everyone. apparently pop culture doesn't realize this. So I'm going to let you know, in the academia world, I've heard more than one therapist talking about it for all types of couples. And FYI, spread the word so that we can enjoy human beings who go beyond that which is limited. I don't even know who's writing that. Oh, wait, I do know. It's called Those Who Simply Use Words, and then they're not really yet grown-ups. And so because they're trending based on words, so I don't know. I think that they decide to, it becomes kind of like when I use words my way. People are like, but you're using them wrong. No, I'm not. They get to use words however they want. Why can't I? It's a 3-year-old world right here. They're doing it. Just because I'm a differentiated self and they're the flat earthers who are giving each other the right to say the earth is flat. I mean, really. So here's what I have to say. I went to the world. It's all about feels. It's all about feels. And I want it to be a world where it's all about what is right, which is why I want all movies, all TV shows, every single bit of pop whatever to be thrown in the trash can right now. How do you think? What do you think? Oh, I would love that. Yes, I would make all movies that teach that which is called integrity, that teach how to be a grown-up versus the ridiculous stuff that they don't teach. They just model really bad examples. And while people think everybody knows how not to copy them, no. I have plenty of Pinocchio friends. That's all they do all day long. They copy. These are grown human beings. These are not children. And I met them by the time I was in college. I'm just saying. So we want to model and also talk about the grown-ups don't assume things based on, oh, you're polyamory, so you're a masochist. Not the healthy self-worth ones, but that's hard. So you can't tell to someone who tells you it's hard to have healthy self-worth that they just said they don't know it. That should be something they heard themselves, and that would mean take myself to Patrick Tian, Terrio, so I can get healthy self-worth. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so what healthy self-worth is if you look away, my confidence does not get eroded because my confidence is not based upon you. But if you look away, depends. Are you giving me the silent treatment because you're one of those emotionally immature people who doesn't know how to talk? I got canceled already before. I didn't think of, oh my God, I lost something. Nope, I didn't lose anyone because really, anyone know what it means to be a self-master? I got a 3-year-old right here, and I got a twin, and I know splinters and ruptures like the back of my hand, so I'm not afraid of rejection because I'll never be alone. I'm in the womb, and implicit memory rules you. So when people disregard that they're all feels, I feel it's a little bit funny, this feeling inside. I'm not one of those who will easily hide. I don't have much money, but if I did, that's a beautiful song, isn't it? My point is, any authentic person is not going to hide away the fact that we all have feels, is what I'm trying to say. So emotionally immature people, they don't like to be vulnerable, which is what has them continuing to be Diego's family. On the other hand, while those who appreciate ignorance and pop culture, it really bothers my brain completely, which is why I can't help myself. Like when I was surrounded by these couples, they were in their late 20s asking each other for permission to go on holiday. And I was like, excuse me, I'm just curious. I know that I, in your opinion, am an anomaly due to the fact that I'm American, although that's not it because these were Italian friends. And so apparently for Italians, no, not apparently, Italians think jealousy means you love each other. And Americans, there's plenty of jealous ones too. That's why I was saying it's not about Americans. But in the meantime, I thought it might be my American heritage that made me more open-minded. Instead, I realized that it's not true because there's actual human beings who say polyamory are whores. No, we're not. They also call people who watch porn polyamory by saying your men are in danger or you're in danger. And it's like, what? So when people are using YouTube, TikTok, and they're spreading their rumors around, I'm thinking, we need people to say, look, we don't have all of the data. No, this is not about data. The societal culture is not about data. So while we have emotionally immature people who are lame, because that's what I'm going to tell you, they're all lame. So I have these couples, they're asking each other for permission. And I've seen American couples too. This is why I don't give it, it's not Italian. I mean, anyone who's an emotionally immature person who needs real, that's what I'm going to say. They're not going to be back here because they suffer relationships. They suffer life. In fact, they actually find 10 ways to watch their fucking back, which makes me think, okay, therapy now, not tomorrow, because if you're still watching your back like that, it means you got a bad gut. It means you still don't know how to pick them. Ding, 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 ding. When a woman on screen says, women, remember, when they fuck you, don't think it, and you see that she's telling it to an entire bazillion people who knows how much they paid for to be there. Wedding bells, and I'm a grown woman who's like, no, I learned by the time I was a teenager, you're trash now. You're not marriage material. Don't you know what ignorant boys, which aren't real men, do? I mean, seriously, and ignorant women. Look at that. They all laugh. I'm like, what are you laughing at? Who's the man? Let me shake the hand of the man, because at least he had semi-decent balls to tell you something, you know, like I just want to, yeah. So this is how empowered people respond to bullshit on screen, on every single screen of it. It's not just mass media. It's 3D, 4D collective. They're not going anywhere, but they won't be back here, and I'm okay with that, because I never looked to mediocre people and said, oh, come hang around me. No, my BFF of all times. I thought you were a snob. I'm not. I'm empowered. Yeah, now I know. Yeah, I'm still empowered. So when I meet grown-ups who don't have the capacity to be empowered, I don't do much. You better bet that when they're flipping their narratives, though, they don't have any kind of wielding magical baton, because it's like, okay, was I supposed to be upset that you did this? I'm not really sure. And I'm not really upset. I mean, I can be upset. Okay, so that's how empowered feminine works, by the way, which is why twin flames, they don't test us. God keeps us away from them. Oh, I have a good one. So here it is. I'm a 5D Mystic Mentor, content creator, podcast host, FYI. So spiritual ones, come. Gather around. It's not for the same bullshit of that other, no, something different. Okay, so if you are mystic and spiritual, when you hear God, Akash, Source, Anima Mundi, dark matter, dark energy, it's all one and the same. Like here, Anima Mundi, everything. You bring it all in, because I'm talking to people who have the embodied brain that is integrated. Okay, so flipped narratives don't buffoon you, because you have a gut that speaks truly to your heart and to your brain. And basically, you're not trying to be a hypocrite. You're authentically being yourself. So like with my facade friend. And typically, the ones who will twist it, they twist it, and then they don't actually ever acknowledge. So how am I going to explain this? If you were modeled, give me a minute, I'm looking for my notes, because I had organized it so I could tell you about this. So if you were modeled lies the entirety of your life, that's why you have a bad gut. That's also why you keep watching your fucking back. That's also why you don't know love. Okay, so only once you have clearly seen yourself and you say, okay, I'm worthy of love like anybody else. Okay, so it's once you know, I deserve love, every human deserves love. There are those who are very, very unfortunately, okay, so one, this lovely Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Dream no small dreams, for they have no power to move the hearts of men. That's why I will never, in Maria's lifetime, since as a kid, I don't support stereotypes or generalizations. That's not how they're meant to be used. The scientists are using them to write books. Now, when they're writing them effectively, great. When I have pop culture beginning to write, great. I know which one is which. When I have to continue watching movies that replicate themselves outside in the open, I think we need to have very fun conversations, us, the emotionally mature ones, and say, okay, so here's the deal about God. He's perfect. Why? Because he gives every one of his little, we're all little sons and daughters, and also the ones who want the neutral, I don't know what word is, children, child, there. So God gives every single child, son, daughter, child, basically the opportunity to be strengthened, to be comforted, to be encouraged, strengthened, comforted, courage, what else? Comforted. All those. No, there's one more. Strengthened, encouraged, comfort, supported. So he doesn't make them out to be little monsters. The ones who make children and human beings out to be monsters have no in-depth knowledge of neuroscience, neurobiology, mental health, and they don't care to. So the minute that they will decide to have not only the lack of compassion, but also lack of understanding, you're choosing ignorance, which is why nothing is more terrible than those that are ignorant than to see ignorance in action. So whenever I'm seeing a narrative being flipped the switch over here, over there, I don't give two shits. I go vote, I do the law, and I try to see who are the grown-ups out there. Wise adults. It's very clear who they are, because they will always have an open heart. They also be intellectually savvy enough to know that there is no lack of imagination for evil. There's lack of education, lack of understanding, lack of information, and a bunch of bullshit people who are wielding their mouths like buffoons. While I might wield my mouth like a buffoon, the wielding of it is in an effort to say, okay, twin flames, soulmates, all that great stuff. Yeah. So God pairs them up. That is such a reductive conversation. If you are a mystic spiritual, you're an energetic imprint. If you're an empowered feminine, by that I mean you are one with Akash, which means you don't look to somebody else to tell you about how your journey is going with your own oversoul. So when you see the ones who are falling around, someone who tells you that it's thanks to the wave of the twin flames, the fifth wave, that the matrix has been dismantled, that's a narrative. It's a narrative that has disengaged completely from the fact that you are talking about people that are in your life and then looking to somebody else to guide you through something that is a test. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like, what the heck? Is this an Olympics? Are you preparing for, what kind of a race are you running? Because you will be my person forever. No, no one's your person forever in that way. It has to be a mutually agreed upon. We are each other's person. And forever, who wants to live forever? I do participate to the forever because I know my past lives. I know my future life. I'm part of that, which is, it's amazing. I do know I'll come back again. And that's for another story. But what I was trying to get to is that the ones who are not empowered and they are tortured by one relationship, we all will want one secure attachment figure in our life so we don't die alone with the bear. People who don't understand why implicit memory is important, and so their first 3 years of life find it hard to believe that means everything. So if you're not a person who's able to have loving, firm, kind words with yourself and then with others, and if you're not able to look at the world as human beings who are all flawed and imperfect equally, and then if you're not able to notice that when you think something is bad, the reality is every human being who will be bad, the way people like to use these words if they're not grown up yet, they had wrong modeling, and they had it from people like this fucking man that I saw with his little Russian roulette. If only I could be a rude human being and a big monster. And that would result in nothing more than the same mannerisms that he teaches by his entire vocabulary and what he talked about, not to mention his imagination, as he's telling me what is a visual that I'm like, okay, so I can see you don't know forgiveness, you don't know love, you don't know how to be an actual man, you know how to be a pretend man. The fantasy stage, any man or woman, by the way, will not be an actual human being, an adult. You got a boy and a girl in front of you who's living in rumination land. Very unimpressive. Not to mention their lack of care for relational joy, a term Terry taught me, and their consistent utilization of 1 week, very weak, very futile because it's fleeting gratification. And so when people don't know how to do emotional resilience, it's because they don't know how to wield their brain. Which is why it's not only a soft skill, it's an amazing skill to be able to self-regulate your nervous system, to own all of your child parts and say, don't fuck with my biosphere, my mui, and you don't say it to anybody. But the point is, you don't have horror shit going in your brain because there's no need for us to think of negative scenarios to the extent of what some people use their brain for, or positive either. So there's a lot that goes behind a person who's emotionally mature, intellectually savvy, because you're not going to be using your lifetime, 24 hours, to be a mediocre human being who wields your mouth in ways that are boyish at best, girlish at best, and really a teenagerish version. So when I meet adaptive child part people, the ones who think they're badass, I am so happy I'm attachment trauma informed. And believe me, when I realized that in a big circle of a number of different things, the reason I hadn't picked up on what I could have had I been attachment trauma educated was because of the fact that I got to learn how much people suffer life. And therefore in that moment I said, God can't be mean to the point of where he would want his children to suffer life like this, because this suffering was a text of, this is exactly how I'm going to kill myself, to where I got nothing a whole month later, or a month and a half. It was like nothing ever was said, and I'm like, okay, this is clearly a problem, but not mine, and clearly I can't address it, because obviously when you have those who are shut down, okay, so wow, I don't even remember how old I was. But again, I wasn't attachment trauma educated. I wasn't knowledgeable. So understanding lets me tell you, when people don't understand that the whole bad thing in a grown-up way is, okay, are you done? If you're an actual grown-up, then you would get completely, again, informed if you're wanting to support society to become the best version of themselves, not a buffoon who continues to spread rumors of stereotypes, generalizations based on yesterday's news. Because, come on, this is so boring and stale and stagnating and also not true. The people who don't want to believe in neuroscience, neurobiology, mental health, they're the same ones who want to continue to believe in ancient news, which divides people into only two groups. It's ridiculous. It's unimpressive because your brain doesn't know how to capacitate more than two. Wow, your brain doesn't know how to work, and your brain will not fall out of your asshole. So when you meet ignorant ones, they're ignorant because they can't capacitate a conversation where we begin to look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And God is perfect. They're not God. So again, consciousness, Akash choice. Amazing when you think of he pairs them up. But this is where it's not a paired up in the way that those who are still looking for that one secure attachment figure are trying to do. If you treat an individual as he is, he will remain how he is. But if you treat him as if he were what he ought to be and could be, he will become what he ought to be and could be. Not necessarily true. I shared with you that because I can't make you love yourself first. And if you have shame and defectiveness and you're continuing to be the modeling of that which you were shown, and or you're continuing to live the shame that you were made to grow up to feel, it's unfortunate, the dark sides of neuroplasticity. Besides pseudo-intellectual bullshitters that I get to watch and make fun of, and spiritual bypassers, because that's how it works over here in IHP land. I just don't point them out because that's petty behavior. But I'm going to let you know it's very unimpressive. When I'm seeing people wield their mouths in unimpressive ways, I laugh inside and then I think, ha, there's another masculine. It's not men. It's simply half a brained person because they didn't get to see the other side. So I'll give you another example. When I'm reading something I wrote, I'm like, oh, shit. Because I start to begin to see where there are areas that I could have expanded on more and more and more. And that's why as a content creator, I don't revisit what I write because otherwise I'll keep on changing it, adding. And so I begin new content, which is where that one serves a purpose for whoever's going to get across that one. Podcast, same goes. So whatever liberates our spirit without also giving us mastery over ourselves is destructive. This sentence is basically when you see those who are just wielding their mouths, one size fits all, I got all the answers, that's not actually true. You don't, and you just basically didn't do much growth. You simply put a little box around what life is to you now that you're safe in your good and bad group philosophy. Okay, so the narratives. Nobody has a narrative that works for everyone because life is a subjective experience that begins with how you feel. And those feelings, there are those that are implicit memory. And that's why, for me, it's easy to understand because I own the body, brain, mind, self of Maria. And so I have all of that in check, but also because I like to bring forth my A game, personal growth, spiritual growth. And so I don't stop growing consciousness and I don't stop doing the emotional resilience, which is why we're going to have our study practice group, and then we're also going to have workshops because it's really fun to be yourself the smart way: stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable. The greatest piece of folly is that every man thinks himself compelled to hand down what people think they have known. And so what I love about books is that we have them already written. Those who want them to continue living on forever as if they're the sole truth are the ones who don't understand that truth is in the middle. Neutrality and duality. That truth is everything consistently evolves and changes. And humanities and social sciences as a field in and of itself will tell you about how societal culture evolves. Which is why when I read the book, I was like, so it's all made up. Which is why this is the part. You don't let mediocre people lead the way. And they don't, because they usually are so dumb to continue to perpetuate that which is not the A game of humanity. And so nobody is knowing of everything. No. But poor behavior is poor behavior because it was gifted with the legacy of self-righteous, contemptuous batons. Bad-mannered human beings are those who were not treated with firm love, kindness, and explanation. Grit is created from love and firm kindness and firm everything, not needing to shame you, not needing to humiliate you, not needing to actually frighten you. So the third attunement, repairing ruptures, parents who care, they're all looking into how to work with that. The ones who don't care and want to be like ancient news, they're just saying that now everything is wrong. It makes me think of Elvis when they cut his legs off, like, gosh darn it. So nothing is more terrible than to see ignorance in action. I agree with you, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. And while I fuck things up and forget it, the point is that the people who are limiting human consciousness but human potential are the same ones who are closing consistently people up in boxes. Twin flame and flames and or soulmates, your oversoul. If you're a spiritual mystic, you will honor your oversoul. If you're an empowered one. If you're one that is not empowered, then you don't honor that which is your journey. As a person who is of spirit and soul, my journey will always be to expand. So I can't be sent my way anyone or anything that will make me crumble. God encourages, strengthens, comforts, and supports, not breaks you. So only when someone does not have wholeness do they continue to think of humanity as broken. When instead you own the sense of self, observe, witness, narrate, and we're all humans, we all share heart, we all have the same desire to be loved and to love. We all deserve it. Healthy self-worth, healthy self-esteem is knowing that. Knowing also how you treat each other, which is we accept to be talked to, not down, not up. And then we all have moods, Manny, Diego, Sid, but none of us are going to say yes to a Diego's family. A Diego's family going to stay away from us because we know how to talk about those healthy boundaries without making it about boundaries. I have had a number of individuals that I've recalibrated, is the word I use, because they've come in with their very projection shit. Thanks to my facade friend, I don't yell in their face. I just allow myself to say, I don't think I'm going to be able to give you what you want, because that's not me. And that's where usually empowered feminines are always able to say, look, I'm not trying to upset you. And that's where the firm, loving kindness comes in. But if I don't want to be your friend, I'm not going to feel guilty about it either. And therefore, I didn't do anything wrong. He's a stranger. So when you're empowered man, woman, or they, you're going to know nobody has a narrative that can win one over you. You won't treat them like shit. You see what I'm saying? So people who will be in the bad category, kids learn from grown-ups. I don't hold the kids responsible. I hold all the grown-ups responsible because I'm a grown-up too now. And that's not because of perfection. It's because it's pretty straightforward how you can wield your embodied brain. Go with the flow. Use your prefrontal. Be a smart one, not one who uses half a brain. You use half a brain, you're going to be a narrative that I'm going to notice, spot. Oh, look, there's their likes, dislikes. Oh, look, here you go. No, I won't actually do that. I'm just going to learn how to handle all of their 5 facades because that's really the best they got. 1 pattern, 2 pattern, 3 pattern. Okay, by the 4th time, you know what? I'm pretty sure you're stuck with that 5. Okay, well, thanks for sharing with me every single bit of the emotionally mature person you're going to be. I know your mask now. Hey, Cusco, what's up? I'm Pacha. So now you have a good time. At the end of the day, 3D, 4D, it isn't a must to tap into your infinite higher human conscious potential. It is not a must to achieve emotional intelligence so that you can then achieve emotional resilience work and do it all the time. It isn't a must to learn to self-regulate. It is not a must to learn to have bilateral vertical overall integration. It is not a must for you to reclaim your child in its entirety. It is not a must for you to own self-empowerment or self-worth. And it is not a must for any person to have to learn about Peter Levine, Bessel van der Kolk, But when you want to spread rumors about yoga bringing demons out of you, wow, you didn't learn about Patrick McNamara, decentralizing the self. You didn't learn about Peter Levine, trauma, stored bones, muscles, tissues. You didn't learn about Pat Ogden, who talks about non-metabolized trauma. Oh, you didn't. So all these human beings should be dumb, and your yoga brings demons out of you because one human being had a bad experience should be true? I see you do know what information is. So again, pop culture, stereotypes, generalizations, ancient news, anyone who cares will always be like, yeah, it's not nice. The demon thing, stop using it. There's Michael Stone, forensic criminologist. He has an evil scale. It's pretty good. It's a scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it clearly states who the bad people are. And I do it this way because I do have compassion. They didn't choose to get treated like little pieces of shit. The ones who don't want to believe it, again, that's subjective belief. There you go. You're not going to really do much. They also have their scientists on call. These are the scientists that are saying the truth. Okay, it's called something that we don't need to address right now. The whole right or wrong. So that's what masculines like to spend their time doing. They juggle each other, not here. But we actually have a good time here. So join us. Be yourself, smart way. And As for the masked ones, well, let them continue with their fantasy stages. It's actually quite sad, I will say. The day you find out that you completely are not known at all, it was like, what the fuck? I was scratching my head, and this is not my facade friend. I was just so, not confused. I was like, no. So I think 2, 3, 4, at least 4, if not 5 other interactions, to which, at a certain point, by the third, I was like, okay, no, it's pretty set in. I can tell that I'm completely just, I don't even know how the pawns work for these people, because that's where I have a couple of friends of mine. I try asking them questions because we're friends. So I'm like, okay, can you tell me how your brain's thinking right now? Because I know you'll tell me the truth. And okay, that's interesting. So we'll continue the conversation. In the meantime, thanks for stopping by. Have a good one.